You are sitting across from a stranger. You cross your legs. A few seconds later, without meaning to, they cross theirs too. You touch your face. They touch theirs. Neither of you notices. Neither of you decides to do it. Something older than thought is running the show. This is not a coincidence. It has a name. Scientists call it the chameleon effect. Your body has been copying other people since before you could talk. It is still doing it right now, in every conversation you have. You just never catch it happening. Here is the strange part. You think of yourself as a single, separate person, choosing your own movements. But your nervous system disagrees. It is constantly borrowing gestures, postures, and expressions from the people around you, and handing them back as if they were your own idea. Why would evolution build you this way? In 1999, psychologists Tanya Chartrand and Bargh ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood social behavior. They paired volunteers with a research partner who was secretly instructed to fidget, rub their face, or shake their foot during a conversation. The volunteers had no idea any of this was staged. They believed they were simply chatting with another participant. By the end of the sessions, the volunteers were doing the exact same fidgets, rubbing their own face, shaking their own foot, without noticing, without deciding to. Their bodies had quietly matched a stranger's movements, gesture for gesture, as if some invisible thread connected them. Chartrand and Bargh called it the perception-behavior link. Watching someone move activates the same brain regions you would use to make that movement yourself. Your brain does not fully separate seeing an action from doing one. So when you watch someone lean forward, a small part of you is already leaning. It just takes very little to tip that impulse into your actual muscles. Here is what made the study even more interesting. Chartrand and Bargh did not stop at proving mimicry happens. They measured whether it mattered. After each conversation, they asked the volunteers to rate how much they liked their partner, and how smoothly the interaction had gone. The volunteers who had been mimicked, without knowing it, liked their partner more. They rated the conversation as warmer, easier, more likable. A stranger's fidgets, quietly reflected back at them, had made that stranger feel safer to be around. None of it passed through conscious awareness. The liking simply appeared, as if from nowhere, built out of nothing but matched movement. Think about how strange that is. You can walk away from a 5-minute conversation convinced you had real chemistry with someone, when part of that chemistry was manufactured by your own spine copying theirs. This is not limited to fidgeting. It runs much deeper than posture. Swedish researcher Ulf Dimberg spent years studying something even faster than gesture copying. He showed people photographs of faces, some smiling, some frowning, flashed onto a screen for a fraction of a second. Too fast to consciously register. He attached sensors to the small muscles around the participants' mouths and brows. The muscles moved anyway. A smiling face, even one seen for a blink, triggered the faintest twitch in the muscles used for smiling. A frowning face triggered the faintest twitch toward a frown. The participants had no idea their faces had moved at all. Their conscious mind never even registered the image. But their muscles had already answered it. Your face is reading other faces faster than your mind can think about them. Before you decide how you feel about a person, some part of you has already started rehearsing their expression. This raises an uncomfortable question. If your face copies theirs, does your mood follow? It does. Researchers have shown that briefly mimicking a facial expression can nudge your own emotional state in that direction. Smile, even a fake one held in your mouth, and your reported mood shifts slightly upward. Scowl, and it dips. Your expressions are not just a readout of what you feel inside. They are part of the machine that produces the feeling in the first place. So the chameleon effect is not simply about looking friendly or building rapport, though it does that too. It is a signal that emotion itself may travel between bodies before it fully forms inside any single mind. This is sometimes called emotional contagion, and it does not require a room full of people to work. 2 people are enough. Sit near someone who is anxious, and your own heart rate can start to climb before either of you says a word. Sit near someone who is calm, and something in you can slow down to match them. You have probably felt this without naming it. A tense meeting where everyone's shoulders seem to creep upward at once. A quiet room where one person's stillness spreads outward like a held breath. None of this is a metaphor. It is muscle, nerve, and unconscious timing, repeated so many times across a single day that you stop noticing it is happening at all. Now go back further. Much further than Chartrand's lab, much further than Dimberg's electrodes. Primatologist Frans de Waal spent decades observing chimpanzees, and he documented something that looks remarkably familiar. When one chimpanzee yawns, nearby chimpanzees start yawning too, especially if they are close companions or family. The closer the social bond, the more contagious the yawn. Strangers barely catch it. Friends catch it constantly. De Waal argued this points to something ancient. Mimicry is not a quirky glitch. It may be one of the oldest tools mammals have for building empathy and cooperation. Copying someone's yawn, their posture, their sigh, is a primitive way of saying, without any words at all, I am with you. I am paying attention. I am on your side. Think about what this means for a body moving through millions of years of small groups, shared fires, and constant physical closeness. A creature that could silently signal belonging, without wasting time on language, would have an edge. Trust could form faster. Alliances could form faster. And alliances, in a dangerous world, kept you alive. Language is young. Words, in evolutionary terms, arrived only a moment ago. Mimicry is ancient. It was doing the job of bonding long before any ancestor of yours ever formed a sentence. 2 bodies moving in sync did not need translation. They understood each other instantly, in a way that grammar has never quite managed to improve on. You inherited that circuitry. It never got the memo that you now live in cities, scroll through screens, and spend half your conversations with people you barely know. It still fires anyway, in job interviews, on dates, in checkout lines, matching strangers' movements as if survival depended on it. There is a flip side worth noticing. The chameleon effect is not distributed equally. Chartrand and Bargh found something telling in their follow-up work. People who scored higher on measures of empathy mimicked their partners more. The more attuned someone was to others' feelings, the more their body copied the room around them without being asked. Mimicry, it turns out, is not just an automatic reflex. It is also a kind of quiet fluency, and some people speak it more fluently than others. Salespeople have known a rougher version of this for a long time, even without the research behind it. Subtly matching a customer's posture or pace of speech tends to make the customer feel more comfortable, more understood, more willing to say yes. What looks like charisma is sometimes just a well-tuned mimicry reflex, doing on purpose what most bodies do by accident. Negotiators use it. Interviewers use it. Even babies use it. Long before an infant can speak a single word, it is already mimicking the faces looking down at it, opening its mouth when a parent opens theirs, widening its eyes when a parent's eyes widen. Some researchers believe this early mimicry is one of the first ways a baby begins to learn that other people have inner lives at all. Copying a face may be the earliest rehearsal for understanding a mind. Which means the chameleon effect is not something you grew into as an adult, layered on top of some more real, more solid self underneath. It may be closer to the opposite. It could be one of the original building blocks your sense of self was built out of, present since before you had any self to speak of. But here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. If your posture, your expressions, and even your mood can shift because of the people sitting near you, how much of what you call your personality is actually yours in any given moment? And how much of it is simply the last room you were standing in? You do not consciously choose most of your gestures around other people. Your face does not ask permission before it responds to theirs. Somewhere between the person across the table and the person you think you are, there is a constant, silent negotiation happening below the level of thought. Consider your own week. The friend whose laugh you start laughing along with before the joke even finishes. The stranger on the train whose slouched shoulders somehow drag your own posture down with them. The video call where everyone leans toward the camera at the exact same moment, as if pulled by the same invisible string. None of these were decisions. They were inheritance, arriving quietly, dressed up as ordinary behavior. There is even a kind of loneliness hidden inside this science. If liking, trust, and warmth can be nudged into existence by matched movement, then isolation may do the reverse. Spend enough time without anyone's gestures to answer, and the whole system idles. No one to mirror. No one mirroring you. The body, built for constant call and response, sits in silence, waiting for a cue that never comes. Perhaps this is part of why long stretches of solitude can feel so unsettling, even when nothing threatening is happening at all. The oldest circuitry in you is built for company, and it notices when company is missing. And there is a gentler thought inside the same research. If your body copies warmth, kindness can spread the same way a yawn does, without a single word of explanation. A room where one person is calm and open can quietly recalibrate everyone else in it, gesture by gesture, face by face. You have done this to other people, more times than you will ever know. Someone, somewhere, is walking around slightly more at ease because your posture once told their body it was safe to relax. Next time you are talking with someone, watch their hands instead of their words. Notice their posture, the tilt of their head, the rhythm of their breathing. Then, quietly check your own body. There is a good chance it has already started to answer.